do carry a level of a unique perspective on what I think some of the elected officials think about newspapers. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship. I think most elected officials would agree with the printed media, and any media in particular. Look, when I have to go and talk to voters about getting elected, I mean, there's two hats that I wear. The one, when you're running and you have to get elected and you're trying to get people to understand what your issues are and your values are. And then when you are the elected official and you're trying to get the public to understand what you're doing and what your voting record is and things like that. And so I have that unique perspective of many times with microphones being shoved in my face, or phone call after phone call from reporters trying to get my take on a certain issue, and half the time they won't kind of let you know what they want to call you about because they want that instant reaction. On the other hand, I want to know what they want to talk about so I can do my research and homework before I talk to a reporter. So there's this give and take with reporters, and I do say it's like a love-hate relationship, because I've been on the front page of the news with a photo, a really great photo, with a really great issue, and I thought the article just explained exactly what I was trying to do, especially what Eric talked about with property tax relief, and maybe even with the utility companies taking them on. However, I've been on the flip side of it with a lousy freaking picture, and I'm like, where'd they get that from? And why did they use it? That was done intentionally, you know. Or just the camera doesn't lie, thanks. And maybe an article or two where I thought that I said, gosh, maybe a whole half hour I spent with a reporter, and maybe he used one little snippet of it and didn't really tell the whole story. So I've been very frustrated but very pleased many times. So I guess that is a balance that is struck that I think is appropriate. And over time I've learned to appreciate where reporters are coming from. I remember asking a reporter that I spent a lot of time with, and the headline was just bizarre to me considering what I was trying to do. And I said, how could you have written a headline like that? Like, Lisa, I don't do the headline. Who does the headline? The editors do the headline. Oh, it's the buy-in, it's the grab, you know, to get you to want to read the article. So from my perspective, I've been in this business for close to 16 years now. I began to understand the relationship between the reporter and the editors and elected officials and what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, look, I've called a press conference a couple times on issues where the only one that showed up was my mom. You know, so you know, what do you do in that instance? And then you fax and you call and you send the reporters information. You hope they pick up on something. On the other hand, I've learned that you cannot do without the media, and especially newspapers and printed media, because when I look at other forms of coverage, the sound bites when it comes to information will not work because you're not getting the full story. And at least the printed media tries to get the full story within their limited space. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I get frustrated too, but I live and die sometimes by the newspapers. So this is a good discussion. I remember, in fact, Bill White from the Morning Call just wrote an article, and he said, you know, Lisa, that glossy little thing you sent out, your newsletter, I send a newsletter out because that's my way of getting information out to people, a printed way of getting my information to you that's unbiased from any other source but myself. I got lambasted because, geez, when I sent the article out about the Bethlehem Area School District and the swap deal, I did not mention the Morning Call. Shame on me for not saying they're the ones that first reported it. Even though I said they reported it, not that I did the research, it was reported that, and I followed up on it. I was lambasted by the Morning Call because I should have mentioned their name. And I'm like, well, all right, now it's something to remember in the future. It wasn't done intentionally. It was just, I didn't know if it was proper to mention them in a newsletter because I never mentioned any other, whether it's 69 News or the Express Times or anything. But, you know, I've learned from that. And you have to learn how to get out there and say what you think and report, when I report on what I'm doing in a more responsible way, because I definitely tick somebody off at the Morning Call. But, you know, you learn from those mistakes or those little slights, and you move on. And that's where I'm coming from.